Do you feel like you're a hopeless case when it comes to singing? Or maybe you just want to get better at singing, but you don't really know where to start? Well, I have 5 tips for you that you can apply right now, and you will see improvement in your singing voice right away. Now, before we get started with my 5 tips, it is really important for you to understand that you can't just snap your fingers or do some magic trick and you will magically become a better singer. No, getting better at singing actually involves a lot of dedication and effort and a lot of time as well. But these tricks that I'm about to show you will help you to just kind of kickstart your journey, right? And you will see improvement right away. Yes. But if you want to get really, really good at singing, it actually involves a lot of practice and a lot of time and patience as well. Okay. So these tips are going to help you get started, but it's not the end. You can't snap your fingers and you're good. Okay. So let's get started with the 5 tips. Tip number 1 is get your body moving before you start singing. Okay. You want to connect your breath to your body. Your breath is the most important thing. If you don't have any air, you can't make sound, right? That's because your voice is a wind instrument like a trumpet. If you don't blow into a trumpet, then there's no sound coming out. It's exactly the same with the voice. If we don't have any air, then there is no sound. That is why your breath is very, very, very important. If you connect your breath to your body by doing some sort of high intensity physical movement, then you will automatically breathe much lower and better and like fuller. And you will much more likely use your breath support, which is your core, for singing as well, which is going to help you sing higher notes and belt better and basically literally everything else as well. So what you want to do is just some high intensity kind of movement, right? Like you might want to do like 20 to 30 jumping jacks, or you might want to run in place for 30 seconds. You don't have to go crazy, but you have to connect your breath to your body. That is so important because we don't want to sing from here on up, but from down here up, and use our entire body to sing, not just the throat, and eventually strain and hurt your voice. Then the next thing you want to do is distract your mind. We humans are overthinkers, okay? We overthink everything and it can be kind of annoying. It can be good sometimes, but in singing, not very good. So, what you can do to stop just thinking about how you're supposed to sing everything, then you can just move around a little bit while you're singing. You might want to do some head turns, right? That helps you get loose again. Like sometimes we just get way too tensed up and then everything is tense and tight and oh, that's not good. Like tension is really bad for singing. It hurts your voice, it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't sound as good either, right? So do some head turns, just walk around while you sing, do the dishes while you sing. Just give yourself another activity to do. So you're basically multitasking. Now, I'm not saying you always want to do that, right? Like a lot of the times you want to be focused on what you're actually doing. But I see my students and myself as well sometimes just get too focused about something. And then we start thinking about, am I supposed to sing this note in mixed voice or should I belt it or should I sing it in head voice? Like, oh, what should I do? Sometimes it's better to just give it a try, see what comes out, and then think about it later. Obviously, only when you're practicing, not when you're performing, okay? That's why we practice first before we perform. So by the time we are performing, it's just second nature, right? But sometimes we just overthink. So add some movement to get rid of the tension that is starting to build up inside of your body. Then tip number 3 is open up your throat. And that kind of has to do with what we just talked about, which is releasing tension, right? You want to have a nice and open throat that will help you to release tension and sound louder. Like your volume will be louder and your sound will also be more round, right? And not kind of like flat right here, but very big. And that's what most singers want. Even if you don't decide to sing like that at the end of the day, it's definitely good technique and something you want to learn. You always want to be able to choose, right? Like you want to choose to sing something breathy or not breathy or whatever it is, right? So give this a try. So we're quickly going to look at this exercise. I already made a video about this exercise earlier, so I'm going to link it in the description below. But I'm just quickly going to show you anyways. But if you're more interested and more detailed, check out the other video. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to open up your throat by holding your head up at about a 45-degree angle right here. Okay, so it's not straight, it's not hanging, but it's at about a 45-degree angle, and you're holding up your head with your hands so your neck muscles can relax, right? And then here, you just kind of want to start to just breathe and open up your throat. Feel how your throat like opens up. I call this the tunnel exercise because it creates a tunnel from your mouth all the way down to your core. Okay, so you just want to open up right here. Ah, ah, and just do some sighs here, right? Ah, can you hear how open my throat is, right? And then there's much more to the exercise, so make sure you check out the other video. Again, the link is in the description below. And give this exercise a try. Oh my gosh, it's going to help you open up your throat and therefore open up your sound, be louder, be more round, and just it's a more beautiful tone, basically. Okay, so give this exercise a try and open up your throat. Then tip number 4 is find the right placement. A lot of times I hear beginning students either sound nasal up here, right? They kind of sound like this, or they're completely in your throat like this, right? Like, oh, and they're almost swallowing their own sound, which both of those things, we don't want that when we sing, right? Like nasality is not a bad thing, okay? Nasality is actually really good. It helps you open up your nasal cavities and use those resonators to make your sound more full and round and loud. But sounding nasal is not usually something we want unless you also sound nasal when you speak. That's kind of my rule of thumb. You only want to sound as nasal in your singing as you do in your speaking, because there's no reason for you to sound nasal when you sing if you don't sound nasal when you speak. Unless you choose to sound nasal, then that's something else too. But again, you want to choose, right? You want to be in charge, not your body. You want to choose if you want to sound nasal or not. Okay, so you have to find the right placement. How do you find the right placement? Well, try singing while laying down. If you are completely flat, then your placement will automatically go up to your hard palate right behind your upper teeth, right? And that's exactly where you want to feel your sound. Placement is just the fancy word for where you feel your sound, right? So it's not back here in the throat and we're kind of like swallowing our own sound, and it's not up here in the nose where we sound really nasal, but it's right up here. Ah, 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 right? It's right there up on that hard palate, which is the perfect placement as well. And singing while laying down comes with a whole bunch of other benefits as well. I'm going to link the video about that in the description in the box as well, because I already made a video about that too. So check that one out too, because singing while laying down is actually really, really great. And it kind of started with a TikTok trend. So check out that video too. It's really cool. And then another thing you can do to find the right placement is humming, right? So something like this. Ha hum ma ma ah. If you close your mouth first, then the placement will be right on that hard palate behind your upper teeth, like I just said before, right? That's the kind of placement that you want. Hum, ah, and when you then open your mouth, it should still stay right there, not hum, ah. I'm exaggerating, okay? But hum, ah, it's here, not ah, hum, ah, hum, ah, right? Can you hear the difference? It's in the front of your mouth. So doing something like ha hum ah can really help you as well. Okay, give that a try too, to find the right placement for singing. And then the last tip I have for you is get to know your voice. That is so incredibly important. So many people limit themselves because they feel like their voice can only do that or only do this. That is not true. Your voice can do so much more than you think you can. You just have to figure out how to unlock that potential, right? So play around with your voice. Don't be afraid to make crazy sounds, right? Like ha hum ah, not necessarily a great sound, right? Or like just trying to get your sound more bright, like ah ah. Not a pretty sound either, but that can help you unlock your mixed voice and sound stronger in higher notes without belting or without screaming, right? Keep your voice healthy, therefore, which is really important, right? So you have to get to know your voice. Try to play around with your voice. There's no set thing that I can give you like try this to get to know your voice. No, you have to spend time with your voice. You have to practice. You have to try out different things. Don't be afraid to make crazy sounds, right? It's so important that you stop judging your sound. Judging your sound is never going to help you. Like literally ever. It's never going to help you. You have to stop judging your sound and pay attention to what it feels like, to what singing feels like, the different notes. Because if it feels good, it is going to sound good as well. If singing doesn't feel good, then you're not going to sound as good as you could, right? And you're not necessarily going to sound bad, but not as good as you could. So you want to make sure that singing feels good. So get to know your voice. See what feels good, see what doesn't feel good. If it doesn't feel good, you're doing something wrong, and figure out why does it not feel good? Are you not using your core, right? Do some jumping jacks. See, does that make a difference? When you actually engage your breath support in your core, right? Are you singing nasally, maybe? Try to find the right placement. Sing while laying down. See, does that help? Maybe close your nose. If you close your nose, you can't be nasal because otherwise there's no sound coming out, right? Like, no sound, right? So give this all a try and really get to know your voice. Now, that's going to take some time, but once you know your voice, oh my goodness, you're going to advance so much faster because then you learn what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And if something doesn't work for you, figure out why it doesn't. That's really important to take that next step, right? You can't just be like, oh, I can't sing in my chest voice, and that's the end of it. No, you want to figure out why you can't and then solve that problem, right? And you can only do that. Yes, I and every other voice teacher out there, we can give you tools and we can give you exercises that you can do to help you improve and get stronger and more flexible and all those things. But at the end of the day, it is up to you to figure out what works and what doesn't work, right? Like, I can't feel what you're feeling. You have to tell me if something doesn't feel good because I can't feel it because I'm not inside of your body, right? Now, I can usually hear if you're straining or whatever else it is that you're doing, but it is still so important that you spend time and get to know your voice. All right, that is it with the 5 tips. I hope they were helpful, and I hope that at least one of those things clicks with you, and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, that makes so much sense, right? Maybe it is getting your mind off of just like being super way too focused, or maybe it's connecting your breath to your body, or whatever it is. Maybe all of them. That would be wonderful, right? So spend some time with these tricks, see if these help. Now, if you want to learn more about the singing voice and become not just a little bit better, like with these tricks, but a whole lot better and become the singer you always dreamed to be, then check out my 7-day free trial to my brand new online course, Vox Tape Studios. I would love to see you in there. Again, it's completely free, 7 days, and you have access to everything inside and not just a restricted kind of like part of it. So yeah, feel free to check it out. I'll put the link in the description below, and I hope to see you in there. See you in the next video.